Certainly, Jim. Thank you. So again, I'm Chuck Arnold, Vice President, Standards and Certification with KCMA. I've been with KCMA now since 2016. Prior to that, I spent 25 years in a building product testing and certification lab. Today we're going to talk about KCMA's 3 certification programs for residential kitchen and bathroom cabinetry. We have the A161.1 quality program, the environmental stewardship or ESP program, and then also our severe use certification. Jim, next slide, please. So this is a current list of those that are participants in our quality program. And that is a current list. Go ahead, Jim, you can go to the next slide. This is a current list of those that are participants in our environmental stewardship program. One thing that I would like to mention before we get started with the presentation is the 3 standards do get updated and revised periodically by KCMA. The A161.1 standard was published, the latest version was published in 2022. During the revision from the 2017 to the 2022 standard, we did some clarification on some of the test methods, and we also added a test method in there for testing of wall-hung vanity cabinets. The ESP standard, we're looking at publishing the latest version in 2024, and one of the additions that we're going to add to that will be the use of a carbon calculator. Participants in that program will be able to use this carbon calculator to determine their carbon footprint. And if they go through that process, they'll earn some points for certification. Once we collect some data on the participant's carbon footprint, we'll consider doing sort of a sliding scale depending on what their carbon footprint is, sliding scale for awarding points depending on what their carbon footprint is. And then the severe use standard, we're also looking at updating and publishing, republishing in 2024. And with that, we're going to go from a specification to more of a performance standard. So look for an additional webinar, I would say probably in early 2024, and we'll include the new information for you then on each of the standards. So Jim, you can go ahead with the presentation.
Wonderful, Chuck. Thank you very much for that intro. And ladies and gentlemen, again, put your questions in the question pane, and then we'll try to answer them during or after the webinar itself. Chuck, let's get going.
Welcome to this AIA-approved course on the 3 KCMA certification programs for residential kitchen and bathroom cabinets. This course earns 1 CEU towards the 6 required general topic units per year. AIA requires each course include some specific information concerning AIA-approved course providers. 1 general topic LU hour will be earned for taking this course, and after successfully completing the exam, will be reported to AIA. A certificate of completion is available upon request. KCMA is an AIA-approved course provider, and this course has been reviewed and approved by AIA. This course does not promote or market any KCMA products or services. This course provides a general overview of residential kitchen and bathroom cabinet testing and certification in accordance with the ANSI KCMA A161.1 Standard, ESP specification, and severe use specification. The objectives of this course include learning about the 3 KCMA certification programs: KCMA A161.1 Performance Certification, KCMA Severe Use Certification, and KCMA ESP Environmental Stewardship Certification. During this course, you should get acquainted with the certification process for each of the 3 programs, learn how to specify certified cabinets, and learn about the various test methods and specifications in the KCMA A161.1 and severe use standards. Additional objectives include learning about the requirements for KCMA ESP certification and how to find KCMA certified cabinet manufacturers. The Kitchen Cabinet Manufacturers Association A161.1 certification program assures the specifier or user of kitchen and bathroom cabinets that the cabinets bearing the blue and white seal comply with the rigorous test methods contained within the KCMA A161.1 standard. For those of you who do not know who ANSI is, the American National Standards Institute is a nonprofit, privately funded membership organization that coordinates the development of U.S. voluntary national standards. ANSI approval of a standard is intended to verify that the principles of openness and due process have been followed in the approval procedures and that a consensus of those directly and materially affected by the standard has been achieved. ANSI does not write standards. They provide the framework to follow in the development and revision of standards. KCMA has assembled a balanced committee comprised of users, general interest members, and manufacturers responsible for the periodic review of the KCMA A161.1 standard. The development of the standard was initially encouraged by the Department of Housing and Urban Development in response to their field auditors' concerns about the quality of cabinets being used in projects under HUD's oversight. Once the standard was developed, KCMA created a certification program based on demonstrating conformance with the test methods contained within the standard. HUD has minimum property standards for buildings constructed under HUD housing programs. This includes those single and multifamily homes financed with FHA loans. HUD has specified KCMA A161.1 certification for cabinets. All North American cabinet manufacturers or cabinet assemblers are welcome to apply for participation in the KCMA A161.1 certification program. The North American presence is required so that cabinets can be randomly picked up for testing from either the manufacturing or assembly plant. KCMA is unable to certify ready-to-assemble or RTA cabinets because the performance of the cabinet during the testing is directly related to how the cabinet is assembled. Manufacturers decide the cabinet lines to be included in the certification. They may certify one, several, or all of their cabinet lines. Most participants elect to have all of their lines included in the listing. Certified lines are listed on the KCMA website, www.kcma.org, and the listing certificates for each participant can be downloaded from the site. Listed are the sections contained within the KCMA A161.1 standard. We will go over each of these in detail later in the course. As you can see, the standard covers everything from general construction requirements to testing of the cabinet finish. There are very few construction requirements contained within a performance standard. the intent is not to limit materials or designs, provided the materials and design pass the performance test. This is different from other specifications that focus on grades of products based on the materials used in construction and the construction techniques. We will briefly go over the construction requirements that are contained within the A161.1 standard. One requirement is that all wall cabinets need to be fully enclosed. All cabinets designed to rest on the floor must be provided with a toe space at least 2 inches deep and 3 inches high. When we get to the severe use cabinets, this requirement changes to 3 inches by 3 inches. All base cabinets must have backs, bottoms, and sides. We will see in the next few slides there are some exceptions for specialty cabinets. All utility cabinets must meet the same requirements as base and wall cabinets. Exceptions are made for cabinets that need to have plumbing or wiring entering the cabinet. Utility cabinets without backs or with cutouts in the backs are permitted. Refrigerator, kitchen sink, and oven cabinets are allowed to have open backs or cutouts as well. This is for plumbing and wiring. Cabinet doors must be aligned and close without excessive binding or looseness. The laboratories performing testing in support of KCMA A161.1 certification are instructed to perform reasonable adjustment on the doors that are typical of an experienced installer. Whether the frames are individual or ganged, they must provide solid construction. The rigid construction requirement is determined through the compliance with the structural testing requirements contained within the standard. A face frame is a solid wood frame placed over the opening, which provides a square and solid foundation for cabinet hardware such as slides and hinges. Thicknesses are usually 5/8 of an inch or 3/4 of an inch material in order to maintain quality construction. With frameless construction, the hardware is mounted to the inside of the casework. Developed in Europe following World War II, frameless has become the standard in commercial case goods and has become more popular in residential casework. The standard requires bracing as needed so the cabinets can withstand the structural test requirements. This is one example of bracing that adds additional reinforcement to the corner. The standard does not specify the materials used in construction, just that the cabinets must pass the testing. The lumber used in making the cabinets needs to have a moisture content of 10% or less. What is illustrated here is a kiln, which is a type of oven used to dry out the lumber. This particular kiln is an example of green manufacturing, as it is a solar kiln. All materials used in cabinets must be suitable for use in the kitchen and bath environment, where they may be exposed to grease, solvents, water, detergent, steam, and other substances usually found in these rooms. The performance tests determine if a material is suitable for use in the construction of the cabinet. The unfinished surfaces of the cabinets must be properly prepared before the application of the finish. This includes prepping of edges by either filling and sanding or using edge banding. In addition to finishing the edges, all nails and staples must be set and the holes filled and sanded to a smooth finish. There are tolerances included in the A161.1 standard for the allowable gap in exposed joints. Those joints easily seen by the end user require a tighter tolerance than those not easily seen. For example, joints on the face frame of the cabinet require a tighter tolerance compared to joints inside the cabinet. The BHMA maintains a standard for different finishes on different base metals. The manufacturer is required to provide proof of compliance for all hardware used in making the cabinets from the hardware supplier. There are 5 structural tests in the KCMA A161.1 standard. These test the structural abuse a typical user will subject the cabinets to. We'll go over each of these in detail.
It's poll time, ladies and gentlemen, poll time. Patty, I think we have a poll.
Yes, we do. We just wanted to get an idea of how familiar you are with KCMA certification programs before you started today. So if you can just take a quick few minutes, not even 30 seconds, and fill this out, and we'll share the poll with you when we're done.
So you can vote. They can vote, right? They just click the buttons, right?
They're voting.
They're voting?
They're voting.
Are they double voting?
We're almost all voted.
All right, good. Are we going to see the results?
Yes, we are. I'm waiting just a few seconds more. So I'm going to close it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here are the results, Jim.
Wow, Patty, what do you make of those?
Well, some people are slightly familiar, but obviously they're here today to get some more information. So we can continue.
Great, great. And Chuck, just so you know, the questions are coming in, so you're doing a great job. Let's continue. Thank you very much.
Section 5.1 requires all shelves and bottoms are loaded at 15 pounds per square foot, and loading is maintained for 7 days to ensure that there is no excessive deflection and no visible sign of joint separation or failure of any part of the cabinet or the mounting system. This is a long-term load test to make sure the shelves will not experience excessive deflection under load. Section 5.2 of the standard, mounted wall cabinets are gradually loaded to 600 pounds without any visible sign of failure in the cabinet or mounting system. Cabinets can be loaded with quite a few dishes or canned goods. This test method determines if the cabinet can withstand excessive loading. Section 5.3 tests the strength of base front joints. A load of 250 pounds is applied against the inside of cabinet front stiles for cabinets with drawer rails, or 200 pounds is applied for cabinets without drawer rails. During installation, when cabinets are screwed together, the front joints can be put under quite a bit of stress. This test determines if the joints can withstand the stresses. Section 5.4 tests the ability of shelves, bottoms, and drawer bottoms to withstand the dropping of cans and other items. A 3-pound steel ball is dropped from 6 inches above the surface. After the test, the drawer must not be damaged and must operate as before the test with no visible sign of joint separation or failure of any part of the cabinet or mounting system. Section 5.5 tests the ability of cabinet doors and connections to withstand impacts. A 10-pound sandbag is used to strike the center of a closed cabinet door and repeated with the door opened to a 45-degree angle. The door must operate as before the test and show no damage or sign of separation or failure in the system. This simulates the impacts a base cabinet door might encounter. Section 6 of the standard focuses on the structural integrity of the door and how it is mounted to the cabinet. There are two test methods performed for door operation. One is a long-term cycling test, and the other a load test. To test the ability of doors, door holding devices, hinges, and attachment devices to operate under the stress of normal use, doors are opened and closed through a full 90-degree to 20-degree swing for 25,000 cycles. At the test's conclusion, the door must be operable, the door holding device must hold the door in closed position, hinges must show no signs of damage, connections between the cabinet and hinge and door and hinge must show no sign of looseness, and other specifications must be met. The load test requires the doors, hinges, and means of attachment to withstand loading. 65 pounds of weight is applied on the door. The weighted door is slowly operated for 10 cycles from 90 degrees open to 20 degrees open and returned to the 90 degrees open position. The door must remain weighted for 10 minutes, after which the door and hinges must show no visible sign of damage, and connections between the cabinet and hinge and door and hinge must show no signs of looseness. Section 7 is very similar to Section 6, but it focuses on the drawer operation and the impact the drawer front will experience when it is closed. Section 7.1 tests the ability of drawers and drawer mechanisms to operate with loading during normal use. Drawers are loaded at 15 pounds per square foot and operated through 25,000 cycles. The drawers must then remain operable with no failure in any part of the drawer assembly or operating system, and the drawer bottoms must not be deflected to a point where they interfere with drawer operation. Section 7.2 tests the drawer front assembly. It must withstand the impact of closing the drawer under normal use. The drawer front is typically attached to the drawer box with screws, and the drawer front is used to stop the drawer against the cabinet frame when closed. If the drawer is heavily weighted, quite a bit of stress can be placed on the attachment of the drawer front to the drawer box if closed forcibly. Chapter 8 details the requirements for the cabinet finish. The appearance of the cabinet must be acceptable to the average consumer. All exposed surfaces must be free of saw marks, be fully finished without imperfections, and all nails and staples set, filled, and finished. The laboratories performing the testing use a standard observation procedure when inspecting the cabinet's finish. Chapter 9 tests the finish applied to the cabinet and makes sure the finish will not fail given what it will be exposed to during the lifetime of the cabinet. There are 6 separate finish tests. Section 9.2 tests the ability of the finish to withstand hot and humid conditions for prolonged periods of time. A cabinet door is placed in a hot box at 120 degrees Fahrenheit and 70% relative humidity for 24 hours. It is then removed and allowed to return to room temperature and humidity conditions. The finish must then show no appreciable discoloration and no evidence of blistering, cold checking, or other film failure. This simulates the extreme conditions cabinets may be subjected to during shipping in the South from the manufacturing plant to the job site. Section 9.3 test the ability of the finish to withstand hot and cold cycles for prolonged periods. A cabinet door is placed in a hot box at 120 degrees Fahrenheit and 70% relative humidity for 1 hour. Removed and allowed to return to room temperature and humidity conditions, and then placed in a cold box for 1 hour at -5 degrees Fahrenheit. The cycle is repeated 5 times. The finish must then show no appreciable discoloration and no evidence of blistering, cold checking, or other film failure. This test simulates what a cabinet might be subjected to when shipping from one extreme condition to another between the manufacturing plant and the job site. Section 9.4 tests the ability of the finish to withstand stains and chemicals typically found in the kitchen and bathroom. Exterior exposed surfaces of doors, front frames, drawer fronts, and in panels are subjected to vinegar, lemon, orange, and grape juice, tomato ketchup, coffee, olive oil, and 100 proof alcohol for 24 hours. Mustard is applied for 1 hour. After this test, the finish must show no appreciable discoloration, stain, or whitening that will not disperse with ordinary polishing, and no indication of blistering, checks, or other film failure. Section 9.5 tests the door's resistance to exposure to moisture. The door must resist 24 hours of exposure to a detergent and water solution. This simulates hanging a wet dish towel on the door to dry. The door edge must then show no delamination or swelling and no appreciable discoloration or evidence of blistering, checking, whitening, or other film failure. Section 9.6 is for metal cabinets. If the surface of a metal cabinet gets scratched, only minimal rusting is permitted. The cabinet is scratched with a razor blade and then exposed to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, near 100% relative humidity for 12 days. Section 9.7 tests the shelve's ability to resist damage from cups and plates going directly from the dishwasher to a shelf. A ceramic coffee cup is dipped in boiling water and then placed on the shelf for 24 hours. At the end of the 24-hour time period, there shall be no damage to the shelf. Certification is initiated with random selection of cabinets for complete KCMA A161.1 testing. Testing is typically performed on a 30-inch base cabinet and a 30-inch by 30-inch wall cabinet. Based on the extent of the cabinet lines to be certified, there will be additional testing done to make sure all the various materials and construction techniques comply with the standard. 6 months after the initial testing, another round of testing is performed. If all goes well with the 6-month test, the certification participant goes to annual testing. Companies successfully passing the testing receive certification. They are added to the online listing directory at www.kcma.org and can now use the KCMA A161.1 certification seal on their listed cabinets.
Wow, Chuck, I don't know about the ladies and gentlemen in the audience, but I don't know how anyone can buy an uncertified cabinet after all I just watched with the testing. Great job. Patty, I think it's time for another poll.
Yep, it is. We have another question. We just want to find out a little bit more about what parts of the presentation today would be most useful and helpful in your job. So here it is. We'll give you a couple seconds to complete the questions. Check those that apply, please.
Whenever we do these polls, I always feel compelled to play some music, but I resist.
Well, we got 73% of those who are on are voted, so we're going to close it in a couple more seconds here. So we'll give you 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here are the results, Jim. So a lot of these are helpful to the audience. In fact, most have all of them checked, so no one checked none. So there you go.
Chuck, you're hitting a home run. Let's keep it up. Please continue. I know this other half of the presentation has just as much useful information. Let's take it away, Chuck.
The second certification program KCMA offers is for severe use cabinets. Severe use cabinets are made with materials and construction techniques that make them very durable, although usually not that attractive. A prerequisite for participation in the severe use program is the cabinets must be KCMA A161.1 certified. The severe use specifications were initially developed through the Department of Housing and Urban Development. HUD never published the severe use specifications in the Federal Register and decided to turn them over to KCMA. HUD no longer has an interest or input into the severe use specifications, and KCMA has the sole responsibility for the oversight and revision of the severe use specifications. Severe use cabinets must be constructed with specific materials. The cabinet box must be constructed with either solid wood or exterior grade plywood. All parts of the cabinet that come in contact with the floor must be pressure treated. All cabinet face frames must be made with 3/4 inch thick solid lumber. Doors on severe use cabinets must be either solid wood or 7-ply A1 plywood. The doors must have a reverse edge to allow opening by hand without the need for door and drawer pulls. The hinges must allow for full opening of the door. Severe use cabinet drawers are required to be assembled using either French dovetail or mortise and tenon construction. The drawer box must be made with a minimum 11/16 inch thick solid lumber, and the drawer face must be of the same construction as the doors. The handrail on severe use cabinets must be a minimum of 3/4 inch by 3.5 inch by full width of the cabinet and constructed of solid lumber. The end panels need to be a minimum 5-ply exterior grade plywood. Severe use cabinet shelves need to be set into dados, cut into the end panels, and the shelves need to be braced behind moles. The bottom of the base cabinet must be a minimum 1/2 inch thick exterior grade plywood, and the backs on all severe use cabinets need to be a minimum 1/4 inch exterior grade plywood. The third KCMA certification program is the Environmental Stewardship Program, also known as ESP. Shown on this slide is the official ESP certification logo. This logo will be on the certification seal of all ESP certified cabinets. Certification in accordance with the ESP is prescriptive based. Manufacturers earn points towards certification by employing specific practices in their sourcing of materials, manufacturing, and community relations. Prescriptive-based ESP certification requires participants to earn points in all 5 sections of the ESP specification. The 5 sections are air quality and pollution prevention, resource sustainability, waste minimization, environmental stewardship, and community relations. Next, we will go over each of these sections in detail. The first section of the ESP specification is air quality and pollution prevention. Participants can earn 5 points if they produce laminated products and the resins used in those laminated products are exempt as defined in TSCA Title VI. 5 points can be earned if the manufacturer has in place an energy conservation program, and 5 points can be earned if they meet or exceed source reduction and waste management goals as reported to the EPA. 5 to 15 points can be earned if the participant has developed environmental product declarations. If they are not certified, 5 points are earned. If they are certified, 15 points are earned. The second section of the ESP specification is resource sustainability. Participants can earn 10 points towards certification for purchasing particle board and medium density fiberboard, MDF, that is certified to comply with either CPA's ECC 4 standard or Benchmark's CWSS. The ECC 4 and CWSS are standards that require the materials used in the production of the particle board and MDF be environmentally sustainable. This includes having a small carbon footprint, be locally sourced from recycled recovered materials, and sourced through a recognized forestry certification program for sustainability. Points can also be earned in this section if the manufacturer has chain of custody certification or if the manufacturer purchases materials that have chain of custody certification. If the manufacturer purchases materials that are certified sourcing through a recognized sustainable forestry program, points can also be earned. Several ESP recognized chain of custody certification programs include the Sustainable Forestry Initiative, SFI, the Forest Stewardship Council, FSC, or the American Tree Farm System, the ATFS. Participants can also earn 5 points in the Resource Sustainability section for having annual training of suppliers on their preferences for purchasing certified hardwood lumber. The training needs to be written and documented. 5 points can be earned if 100% of the laminated products purchased by the participant use a TSCA Title VI exempt resin system. If the participant has a documented wood trade compliance or due diligence policy, points can be earned. They can also be earned if they have a policy that prohibits the use of wood species on the CITES list. The third section of the ESP specification is waste minimization. This section deals with what happens inside the manufacturing plant. Points can be earned towards certification if the participant has a comprehensive recycling program. At least 3 of the following must be recycled to earn points: cardboard, paper, plastic, wood, solvents, and metal. Participants are required to provide pickup tags indicating the type and amount of materials recycled for points to be earned. Points can also be earned in waste minimization for tracking and reducing process waste. There needs to be a documented goals and reports submitted in support of the claimed points. If byproducts of production are used to generate energy, points can be earned. Many manufacturing plants either burn their sawdust and scrap to generate steam or electricity, or ship that material to an external facility that does. If there is a program in place for reclaiming cabinets removed during a remodel and either recycling, reusing, or repurposing them, points can be earned. The fourth section of the ESP is environmental stewardship. Points can be earned towards certification for having either a certified or non-certified environmental management system in place. An environmental management system is a comprehensive program that demonstrates the company has reduced its environmental impact and increased its operating efficiency. A typical certification for an environmental management system is ISO 14001. Points can also be earned in the fourth section of the ESP, environmental stewardship, if the participant reviews the environmental practices and policies of their key vendors and contractors. If the participant promotes the use of renewable and/or recycled materials or products in the manufacturing plant, points can be earned towards certification. Participation in EPA's Smart Ways Transport Partnership as a registered partner can earn points. Shipping products with a registered SmartWay partner is more efficient and has less of an environmental impact compared to using a non-registered shipping company. Points can also be earned in the environmental stewardship section if there is a documented corporate social responsibility or environmental social governance report. If the participant has an environmental sustainability strategic plan, they can earn 5 points towards certification. In addition, 5 to 15 points can be earned if there are health product declarations for the cabinetry. The fifth and final section of the ESP specification is community relations. If the participant either volunteers time or money to charitable organizations in the community, points can be earned towards certification. This promotes a sense of community and commitment to those in the vicinity of the manufacturing plant. Points can also be earned towards certification if the participant has not had a major non-compliance citation from any federal, state, or local environmental regulatory agency in the previous 12 months. In addition, if the participant highlights their environmental initiatives on their website and uses the ESP logo on their website, 5 points can be earned. This concludes the presentation portion of the AIA approved course on KCMA's 3 certification programs for kitchen and bathroom cabinets. If you have any questions or comments about the information presented, please reach out to KCMA by either sending an email to info@kcma.org or calling 703-264-1690. This course has been brought to you by the Kitchen Cabinet Manufacturers Association, KCMA.
Wow, Chuck, great job. Very exciting, very exciting. And boy, the questions have been pouring in. We've got texts coming in. We've got people asking to see the slide again that we started with. So Patty, let's take it from Patty. Patty, what kind of questions we got going on?
One of the first questions I got, and I'm sure Chuck could answer this, is can people get a copy of the slideshow from today?
Yeah, certainly. The slideshow and the presentation are available. The course actually is available at kcma.org. and we have recorded this presentation, and Mike Metz at KCMA should be able to assist with that.
Okay. And then one of the questions we got is, could you elaborate a little bit more on who is doing the testing?
Certainly. KCMA has 3 labs that are geographically spread around the country. We have a lab in Maryland, one in Alabama, and one in Portland, Oregon. The labs are all accredited to do the testing for KCMA. One of the labs, the lab down in Alabama, has been working with KCMA for, I want to say, 30 plus years. And I came prior to being with KCMA from the lab in Maryland.
Okay. So another question we got is, can you explain for some of the people that are designers or architects, or what is the difference between the certification program and what a manufacturer might already offer in terms of a warranty or guarantee? How is this different?
So the certification program is an independent verification that the manufacturer's cabinets comply with an industry accepted performance standard. That is different from a warranty, which is usually offered in the case of the unusual, mishap that might happen during the manufacturing of the cabinets. The manufacturer wants to make sure that the consumer, the purchaser of their cabinets, is satisfied, and the warranty helps the consumer with that.
Okay, great. And another question we had is, what happens if a cabinet breaks, or does KCMA do anything in terms of policing to make sure these certified cabinets really do stand up?
Well, we do have a consumer complaint resolution policy. So if a consumer has a problem with their cabinets, certified cabinets, and they've been unable to get that resolved to their satisfaction, they can file a consumer complaint with KCMA, and we have a process in place for reviewing those complaints, reaching out to the manufacturer of the cabinets, and facilitating a resolution.
Wow, good to know. Now, how long does the certification last for? So if I'm a cabinet manufacturer and I have, you said certain lines they could choose all of their lines or some of their lines. How long does that certification last for?
When we initially issue the certification, it's good for 6 months. We do another round of testing at that 6-month interval. If everything goes okay with the 6-month test, then we go to annual testing to maintain the certification. So initially it's for 6 months, and then it goes to the certification is good for a year.
Okay. I think, Jim, that's all the questions I have, unless you had any other questions.
Well, I have a comment here, a couple of comments. They want to see the list of manufacturers that were that Chuck gave us at the beginning of his presentation. So Chuck, I'm going to journey back to the beginning of the presentation and show this list. If you want to just comment on this a little bit.
Jim, before you start, I did get another question that came in. Do you have time?
Of course.
Okay. It's from Chip. Are there any testing requirements for hanging hardware for wall cabinets, etc.?
So if I understand the question correctly, there are a couple of test methods contained within the A161.1 standard related to the mounting of the cabinet to the wall. There's the 600-pound load test that gets performed on the cabinet. That not only tests the structural integrity of the cabinet itself, but how that cabinet has been mounted.
Okay, so I'm assuming that answers his question, but that popped up at the last minute. Sorry, Jim.
No, that's okay. What we want to do is put this slide up that Chuck was talking about before. And Chuck, if you could address that, let me just share this with the people, and off we go to the races. There you go. This is the one that they want to talk about, right? These are the people who have passed certification. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. So if you go to kcma.org, you'll find a bar at the top of the page, and there's an area for certifications. If you hover over the word certification, you will get a drop-down list, and from that you can search for all those that are currently certified. You can filter in various ways to find either, a cabinet company in your region. You can filter for just quality certification or just ESP or severe use or all three. It's a very powerful tool that we've built into our website, and I encourage you to use it in finding certified cabinetry.
Great. And then you also had this one that followed it. If I can put that up there and you can make a few comments on this.
Yeah, pretty much the same as the previous list. These are those that are in our environmental stewardship program. And again, you can go to kcma.org, go to the certification area of our website, and you can search for the current participants in the ESP program. This list, those lists on kcma.org are kept current on a daily basis. So, you can also download each of the participants what we call listing certificate. It's the certificate that's issued to them that shows for the A161.1 program all of the lines and styles that they have certified. And for ESP participants, if they have various brands certified in accordance with the ESP, those will be listed on the certificates as well.
Very comprehensive, very comprehensive. In fact, Patty, do we have any other questions that I can tell? I can't see any. Do you see any, Patty? Patty, hello?
No, sorry, I do not have any additional questions.
Great. All right, so Chuck, bear with me now. I'm going to do something totally unscripted. I like spontaneity, don't you, Chuck? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring everybody to the KCMA website, and then maybe you can guide me while I click to where you were talking about. This is where we were talking about, right?
Well, that's where the certification program course, basically this presentation is housed. And so you can go and review the presentation there. If you'd like the full webinar, including questions and answers and the polls, we have recorded this webinar, and I believe it is going to be posted at kcma.org. Now, in terms of finding certified manufacturers, you're absolutely correct there, Jim. You're in the right area. You can see on the left-hand side there, there's 3 boxes, one next to quality, one next to environmental, one next to severe use. If you're looking for those that are quality certified, you simply click the box and hit search, and you'll get the complete list of those that participate in the A161.1 program. The same is true for environmental stewardship and severe use.
This is unbelievable. Very easy to do. And you said that you can download the certifications themselves from these companies?
Yeah, if you go to the right-hand side, the symbols.
Yep.
You can click on one of the symbols, either the blue or the gray symbol, and that particular manufacturer certificate should be displayed.
Wow.
So what we're looking at here is the severe use certificate for Evans Cabinet Corporation down in Dublin. Up at the upper right, you can see the certificate number, when the certificate was issued, and when it's due to expire.
And Chuck, who uses these certificates? Do the designers who design the kitchens and bathrooms, they use these certificates to validate the cabinets that they're putting in, correct?
Exactly, and not only the designers, but an architect on the project or a site supervisor. If they've specified certified cabinetry, they want to make sure that they're getting what they've specified. They can go and download the certificate.
So it looks like Evan's cabinet, he expires in September 30th, and he better get going, right, to relist that? Is that
His cabinets are in the process as we speak.
good? Good. Of course they are. I was just kidding. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but that's great. Anything else you want to point out on the website? We have a couple more minutes or not?
I have a quick question.
Patty?
Chuck, where do manufacturers put these stickers with the certification to notify either consumers or designers where that they're certified? Where do they put them?
Okay. Yeah, every kitchen has a kitchen sink and a kitchen sink base. And so at a minimum, the certification seal should be applied to the kitchen sink base cabinet. They usually put it on the door, the back of the door, but some will apply it to the inside on the side of the cabinet.
Okay.
Great.
We
Well,
encourage the
go ahead, please.
use of the seals on all cabinets, but if it makes it to the kitchen sink base cabinet, we know that it's gonna get there in the kitchen.
But if you had like a laundry room with cabinets, you might not see that seal even if they are certified. If they don't have that. Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Great.
Just
Well, Patty, I think, Chuck, great job. It's 3:28. We're out of time. It's a full hour of questions and answers and a great presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the KCMA, we thank you for this time, which is the only non-renewable resource, time. And we hope you got something out of it. Please, there's the email, there's the phone number. If you got any questions, please email them to KCMA. They'll be happy to answer them. And this recording will be shared with KCMA, and I'm sure it will be shared with all of you. Thanks again for coming, and have a great day.